Hi everyone, in today's video I'm going to show you how I made this cupcake topper. It's for a doggy cupcake, so for a birthday topper. It's got 4 layers and it was all made in Canvas Workspace. I've also made it in blue, so the thumbnail for the video and the blog post may be the blue one, but they're both made exactly the same way, and I've done other numbers as well. So if that's something that you're interested in learning how to do with Canvas Workspace for the Scan and Cut, keep watching. Okay, so I'm in Canvas Workspace for computer and I've opened a new blank page. If you hear any noise in the background, as usual, it's my dog Eddie, who decides to start being a buffoon when I start speaking. You may hear him pacing around or picking up and dropping his toys on the floor. Okay, so this is what I did. So the first thing I did, I used an SVG of a paw print and a bone shape. Now, I think in a previous video many years ago, I showed you how to make a bone shaped Christmas stocking, and I showed you how you could make the design yourself in Canvas Workspace, and that will be in one of the playlists, probably the sewing playlist maybe, on my YouTube channel. But for today's video and for the topper that I made, I used a pre-designed SVG. So I've got the folder on my desktop with the SVGs in it, and directly under this YouTube video in the description there will be a link to the blog post. It says my website and blog, and if you head over there and click on the blog and look for the thumbnail of this YouTube video, in the description of the blog will be all the links to the free SVGs that I'm going to use today. If you're watching this video on my website, then again it's down in the description of the blog post. I've got Canvas Workspace for computer open. I'm going to go to File, Import from Computer. You can drag and drop, but I'm just showing you how you can do it. The folder is saved on my desktop. I'm going to open up the folder, and inside the folder you will see that there are several files. So the one that I opened is this one here, dog paw svg.svg. So I'm going to choose that and open. Now this particular file, everything comes in at once, so you just have to wait for it to open. You may get a warning telling you that it's shrunk the design down to fit it within the red dotted lines on your Canvas Workspace mat. I'm going to use this paw print and one of these bones. So these are all individual items. So I'm just going to start selecting some of these and hit delete on my keyboard to get rid of them. There's a lot of information contained on this page, so don't be surprised if it takes a while to delete your images, but just work your way through and delete all the images except this paw print and one of the bones. Okay, so I've got my images. So this is all individual elements. So the first thing I'm going to do is drag an imaginary box around it, right click and group it. And then for the bone, I'm going to rotate it so that it's more horizontal. I'm going to select the paw print. I'm going to come over to the right hand side to the properties, and I'm going to select the second one down, which is edit. And at the top here, I want this to be at the moment 2 inches high. So I've got the maintain aspect ratio selected, and in the height I'm just going to type 2, and that will adjust the width accordingly. And then for the bone, I want the width to be 2 inches wide for now. I may adjust the size later, but for now this is what I'm starting with. So I'm going to select the paw and I'm going to rotate it slightly, and I'm going to sit that just so it overlaps the bone. Then I'm going to come over to my text box, left click once on the page to select the text, and I'm going to type the number 2 and enter. Now I've been working in Canvas previously this morning, and the last font I used was Impact, so that's what it's chosen, and I do want to use Impact for this project. So I'm just going to bring the number over, and I'm going to drag the bottom right hand corner out to make this bigger. You kind of want the number to be slightly bigger than the rest of the design, you know, because the number is like the main thing. That's the age of the dog, if you like. So I'm just going to make that ever so slightly bigger. So I've got the paw print grouped, I've got the bone shape, and I've got the number 2. Now what I'm going to do with the bone shape is I'm just going to drag it out and make it a little bit bigger. And I want it to overlap the paw, and I want it to overlap the number, because I'm going to weld all this together. If you are unsure, I'm going to take the fill out for you, and I'll make the outline black so that you can see it a bit better. Okay, so this is what I've got now. So I've got the bone, which I can move up a little bit so it overlaps. I've got the paw as a group, and I've got the number, and again I can make the number a little bit bigger if I want to. And basically what I want the number to overlap the first kind of pad of this paw here, and I want it to overlap the bone. I'm just going to rotate it a little bit more just to try and get it a little bit straighter. Okay, so that's what I've got so far. I'm going to select everything, and I'm going to, still under my edit tab, I'm going to come down to the bottom and I'm going to hit weld. And that's my top layer. Now when I weld, because these 3 pads here are not actually touching anything, these are all separate, but everything else is welded. So this kind of pad of the paw is welded to the 2. The bottom half of the paw is welded to the bone, and so is the number. So I'm going to select everything, right click, and make them a group. So now these 3 loose bits are all grouped to the rest of it. So in my design, this was the top blue glitter layer. So if I go to my colour wheel, and I'll just choose a blue for now, and I'll make the outline blue as well. So that was like my glitter layer. So from here then I did 3 extra layers. Let's just see how big it is for now. Now I've welded all this together. It's 3.51 inches wide and 3.55 inches high. And to be fair, that's probably about the finished size that I made. So because it's all welded and these extra little bits are all grouped together, I can now take the size down. So I'm going to take the size down to about 2.75. I've still got maintain aspect ratio selected. So when I hit enter, it will all reduce in size and maintain its aspect ratio. So from here now, it's just a case of making the extra layers. So that's my first layer. So I'm going to come to the bottom of the page and I'm going to come to offset. I'm using a 0.08 outward. I'm going to leave it on rounded because the majority of this shape has got round curves. And I'm going to say leave the original as it is because I want to keep this blue layer. I just want an offset of it. And I'm going to say create the offset line around the outer edge only. So make sure that's ticked. So these are the settings here. And I'm going to say OK. Now when it does that, it gives me the outline. But because those 3 elements there are like individual elements, even though it was grouped, it's going to give me those outlines if I click on them as separate elements to this. So I'm going to come over to the layers panel. I'm going to click on the group, hold my shift key down and select all 4 elements. And then with the directional arrows showing, I'm going to try and drag the blue element away. You can see when I click on it, it's still grouped and it says it's a group here. I can just get rid of that for now. But this is the outline, the 0.08 outline. You can see those 3 are separate. And so is this. So now I want to select this first offset that I made, go back to the edit icon and hit weld to make that a group. So that I think was my, let me just look at my photograph. That was a blue layer. So the top layer was glitter. Then I did another blue layer. So what I'm going to do for the exercise of the video is just choose a different blue and just fill it with colour. Now I'm going to select this first layer, come down to offset, and I'm going to make another 0.08 offset of this one. So leaving all the settings the same. That became my black layer. So I'm going to fill that with black. And then one last time with this one selected, I did offset again, left all the settings the same, and I made another offset. And this offset was white. So I'm just going to fill that with white, but I'm going to leave it as a black outline just so you can see it, because if I make the outline white, you probably won't see it. It'll blend into the page. So basically what I did from here, I just spread the designs around. So I put my white layer, say, in the top corner of my map. I put my glitter layer in the bottom. I put my next blue layer at the top. And then for the black layer, I put that in, say, the opposite corner. And this way I was able to put 4 pieces of cardstock on my mat and cut it all at one time. And when it's all layered up, I'm going to right click and bring this to the front. So that went on top of there. Then these two went on top of the black. Send this one to the back. So right click, arrange, send to back. So these two should now sit on top of there, and then I'm going to right click on the white and do arrange, send to back. And when I select all these 3 and put them on top of there, they should all now line up as the finished cutout. So I've got them all selected. I'm going to center them all to each other. I'm going to zoom in so you can see blue glitter layer and the 3 separate pour pads. I put on 3D foam and I layered them onto the pale blue layer. Then I put 3D foam pads on the turquoise layer and I layered that to the black layer. And then on the black layer, I put hot glue and my stick. And then I put 3D foam pads around the rest of it and put that onto the white layer. And that's what gave me this look. So you can see there's my glitter layer, layered onto the darker blue, layered onto the black, layered onto the white. And then I just did some other words and said today, and I cut those in vinyl. And then I stuck them on a piece of black card that was big enough to fit in here. So that's how I made the doggy cupcake topper. Sorry if you hear a noise, it's a warm day and I've got the door open and a train's just gone through the village. I think I've said this before, I live high up in my village and there's a train line that runs through that's like below me. And quite frequently when I'm doing a video, especially if I've got the door open, you will hear it. So that's how I made the topper. So nice and simple, only using, 2 basic shapes. And basically it's just welding, grouping and offsetting. So they're the kind of like 3 main features that you can use in Canvas Workspace to create anything really. So I hope you found that helpful. Please give the video a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.